mock draft season coming out. Todd McShay, ESPN, very plugged in. He has the Niners drafting safety Nick Cross at 61. Real quick, if you haven't heard of Nick Cross, he's from Maryland. He's 6 feet 212. Kind of, bigger than Jimmy Ward. It's almost Jaquaski Tart size. He runs a 4.34, 37 vert. Hell of an athlete, a lot of range. What do you think of this potential pick for the 49ers?
Sounds like a Jaquiski Tart replacement. I mean, this is the guy who kind of fits that bill. You mentioned his height and his weight and his speed. Running a 4.34 at 212 pounds is extremely impressive. I think it blows the water out of any guy at that weight. So I think that was good. I think the one concerning thing I look at with him is, and I don't think the PFF grade is the end all be all of, prospects, but year over year from 2019 to 2020 to 2021, he got worse each season. So that is very concerning, because even if you don't believe in that metrics as much, it's the same thing year over year. So whatever they're grading, however they determine that, he's getting worse according to their system. And he did have a below average coverage grade. So this seems like a guy to me who's going to be more of your in the box guy, who is going to get involved at the line of scrimmage a little bit more maybe. And then you want to rely on Jimmy Ward as more of your coverage guy, and your versatile coverage guy, right? We know he can play all the different positions. So I think this is a good fit, but I would also prefer if they would go after someone who maybe has just better coverage skills and better slot versatility too. If you're going to draft a safety this high, to me, it has to be someone who is at least average in coverage to above average, at least from where you're drafting them. And they have to be able to play multiple different spots in the defensive backfield. And that to me is the key for the 49ers at the top of this draft, is positional versatility. Because I think they really need a lot of that right now, especially on defense, especially in the secondary. They have guys who can do some things, but they don't have guys who, besides Jimmy Ward, who can go to all kinds of different spots. So I would want to try and find someone maybe like a Jalen Petrie, even though he might go higher, who has that kind of versatility, who you can trust at nickel. So I know a lot of people are really high on Nick Cross right now. I would be more comfortable though taking him maybe 10 to 15 spots back if the 49ers, let's say, trade down, which we've seen them do in these last few drafts. They trade down, they trade up a lot. So I don't know if I would expect them to sit at 61. And this to me is the type of guy that if they move down to pick 70, 75 or so, they might be able to still grab him.
I actually think Nick Cross would be a good fit for the 49ers. I do see that he's not great in coverage. I think that's actually something the Niners would be okay with, because Jimmy Ward is your coverage guy. And instead of having Tart's good in coverage too, but instead of having another Jimmy Ward who's a little bit bigger, what's nice about Cross is you could actually play him in center field while Jimmy Ward's on man-to-man coverage on third down. And Cross has elite range. He runs that 4.3, which you want. And he had 3 picks last year. He had 5 picks in college. So you wouldn't have him in man-to-man coverage. But as a single high safety, I actually think he'd be good. And then he, when you want to use him around the line of scrimmage, you don't have to have him in coverage, but he did have 4 sacks in college. So he could be used as a, I guess like a blitzer, kind of like Derwin James is. Only thing is he might not be there at 61. If McShay thinks so, great. But he could go up a little bit higher. 6 feet, 212 safeties that run 4.3s. No matter how good they are in man-to-man coverage, there's still a role for. It seems like he can play both free and strong. There's a lot you can do with him. I'm just saying. I think it'd be a pretty good pick. I'm not sure he'll be there at 61.
Yeah, he might not, but the reason he may be is just because of the position he plays, right? I think safeties in general are going to be getting pushed down the draft board. Look at Kyle Hamilton, who's at the top of the draft. He was the consensus top 2 player overall, and right now there are mocks where he's not a top 10 pick, or where he's not even the first safety taken. So I think safeties overall are getting pushed down the board. But if he's there, I think it would be a fine pick. I like some other fits better. But like you said, I think he would complement Jimmy Ward really excellently in that sense. So
yeah, it would be a good pick in the sense that they could argue he's the best player available. He'd start right away. He could probably I'm just saying I'm not a Nick Cross expert, but they could do a lot worse. It'd be better than reaching for an offensive tackle because you don't know what's up with Mike McGlinchey. I think it'd be better than that. But again, I don't know if he'll even be there at 61. McShay seems thinking.
And just with the position overall, I like taking safeties in round 2 rather than, like, a tackle, like you mentioned, for example.
Niners haven't
You
done it
can
in a very
still
long time. Yeah.
yeah, you can still
'Cause
get
you can get
that
like an elite
value.
safety in round 2. Are you really gonna get an elite tackle in round 2? Probably not.
No, definitely not.
No.
It's just not gonna happen. Those are developmental guys at that spot. So, look, it's all about positional, value to me in terms of drafting. I'm not a best player available or a fit kinda guy. I always try and go about where the value is in the draft, taking a guard in round 2 or round 3 rather than round 1, taking safeties later, taking wide receivers later, things like that. So I think the safety fit, yeah, it'd be really good here at 61, and I really like Nick Cross. I think it'd be a really good pick.
Jaguayo 56 says Jalen Petrie played the slot and safety, very versatile, great tackler. Yeah, he sounds exactly like Jimmy Ward, except maybe even
Yeah,
better. I don't know. Shout out Jimmy
and
Ward. Okay.
the nickel guy I like real quick is Jojo Doman, who is kind of an outside linebacker, kind of a corner. He's 6'3". He's huge. He has slot experience. He has in the box experience. He can blitz. That's my guy, but you can take him later on. Uh,
6'1",
yeah,
230, man. That's a big slot.
yeah, it is. He's an interesting
That is.
prospect for sure, and you could take him at the end of round 3 probably, maybe even round 4. I don't know exactly where he's going right now, but him, Marcus, is it Jones or Johnson? I believe from Houston. Those 2 guys are the nickel guys for me.